2024. Seoul horror film scriptwriter's latest thriller features a tarot deck now online. It revolves around 7 thrilling stories based on tarot cards. What shocks will they bring? The first story begins with An Ji-yu briefly checking her phone only to discover her daughter has suddenly disappeared. She frantically searches the supermarket and finally spots her daughter standing by the toy shelf, holding a cute doll she hopes her mother will buy. An Ji-yu glances at the high price and reminds her daughter that she bought a cloth doll last month. Reluctantly, she puts the doll back on the shelf when a tarot card falls off. An Ji-yu picks up the card, finds nothing unusual, and slips it into her pocket, marking the start of a series of eerie events. That night, while An Ji-yu reads Peter Pan to her daughter as usual, her daughter mentions a fairy from the story appeared from the closet while she was alone. Curiosity piqued, An Ji-yu is about to open the closet when her daughter stops her, saying the fairy might get scared. An Ji-yu, although puzzled, stops and later finds out from her phone that the card she took home is a fortune card. Facing the burden of being a single mother and having been unemployed, An Ji-yu finds a job as a supermarket cashier, starting on Christmas Day. Reluctantly, she leaves her daughter home alone, carefully preparing meals and repeatedly instructing her not to open the door to strangers. However, fate seems to play tricks. After helping a mother with a child checkout, a doll catches An Ji-yu's eye. She looks for the mother, but she's gone. The doll is her daughter's favorite type, so An Ji-yu decides to stash it in a locker at work, thinking of bringing it home as a surprise if unclaimed after her shift. Thinking of her daughter alone at home, An Ji-yu hurriedly calls her. Her daughter says she's eaten and that Santa Claus is currently playing with her. Alarmed, An Ji-yu urgently asks if she opened the door. Her daughter says no, claiming Santa came in through the window. An Ji-yu is uneasy but has to return to her customers. She manages to text her daughter during lunch to check on her, and soon receives a photo of an unfamiliar doll. Panicked, An Ji-yu realizes it might not be her daughter's toy and sends a series of messages asking about its origin and situation. However, just at this critical moment, the manager's voice suddenly interrupted her thoughts. He urged An Ji-yu to return to her workstation immediately. Once back at the cashier, An Ji-yu secretly continued to text her daughter, but the manager noticed again. An Ji-yu explained to the manager that there was an emergency at home and asked if she could take a 10-minute break to make a phone call to check. Although the manager eventually agreed to her request, he limited the time to 3 minutes. An Ji-yu immediately called her daughter, but heard only the ringtone indicating no one was answering. Feeling uneasy, An Ji-yu tried to contact her husband, whom she hadn't spoken to in a long time, hoping he could go home to check on their daughter. However, when the call connected, her husband said he was traveling abroad. An Ji-yu's emotions exploded, and she almost shouted at him, threatening him if anything happened to their daughter. Shortly after hanging up, An Ji-yu received a video call request from her daughter. She quickly answered and saw her daughter in a new ballet outfit, excited to show her a dance. As her daughter spun away from the phone screen, a chilling detail caught An Ji-yu's attention. She clearly remembered her daughter was holding the phone earlier. Who was filming this video now? Just as she voiced her concern, the video suddenly ended. An Ji-yu lied about feeling unwell, hoping the manager would let her go home without pay. As she turned to leave, the manager brought out the doll she had stored in the locker, demanding an explanation for its origin. An Ji-yu strenuously explained it was left by a customer and she had no time to take it to the customer service center, so she temporarily stored it in the locker. Obviously, this explanation was not convincing as the manager pointed out she could have taken it during her lunch or while making the phone call. Just then, the phone rang. As An Ji-yu reached for her phone, the manager snatched it to personally review the surveillance footage to find out the truth. If the footage showed An Ji-yu taking the doll, he would not hesitate to call the police. The security footage froze on the moment An Ji-yu was holding the doll. After a thorough review, the security concluded that the footage alone could not prove whether An Ji-yu intended to keep the doll for herself. There might be other reasons. This conclusion made the manager ponder, but An Ji-yu had reached her limit. She threatened to call the police if her phone was not returned. The manager finally relented and gave back the phone. An Ji-yu hurriedly dialed her daughter's number. When the call connected, her daughter said she was fine and that Santa Claus was playing with her, even teaching her magic. Hearing this, An Ji-yu felt a surge of desperation and loudly told her daughter that there was no Santa Claus and she did not believe in magic. She asked again who was with her, but this time her daughter suddenly said she was alone, and her voice began to weaken. An Ji-yu hurried home. As she pushed open the door and saw her daughter's shoes at the entrance, she felt a slight relief. However, when she loudly called her daughter's name, there was no response. She quickly headed to her daughter's room, only to find it empty. Thinking her daughter was playing hide and seek, An Ji-yu began searching around the room. After carefully checking every corner and finding no one, her gaze fell on a closed cabinet. She yanked the cabinet door open, but only a painting caught her attention. It depicted Santa Claus with a demonic head leading a little girl. She continued to check the other rooms, but still found nothing. Returning to the living room, her eyes landed on the ballet outfit her daughter had worn. Approaching it, An Ji-yu suddenly discovered a Peter Pan storybook hidden inside the clothes. Seeing this book, she immediately understood everything. The previous night, after telling her daughter the story of Peter Pan, she had said, "Everyone has a fairy in their heart. If someone says fairies don't exist, at that moment, the fairy truly disappears." Park Min-chan was looking forward to a joyful time with his girlfriend, but Jin Yoon-mi declined, citing she hadn't showered. This left Park Min-chan sleepless that night. The next day, he excitedly went to pick up Jin Yoon-mi from work and was shocked to see her leaving with a strange man. He learned that they had exchanged contact information. Jin Yoon-mi explained that the man was just a co-worker, but Park Min-chan's doubts and unease grew. They had an emotional argument. Since Jin Yoon-mi started a new job at a prestigious financial company, her position was much higher than his, which hurt his pride. A friend suggested he consult a relationship manager. By chance, Park Min-chan found a business card in a restroom for a female consultant claiming to be a relationship manager. She calmly analyzed the differences between him and Jin Yoon-mi, stating that Jin Yoon-mi's family background and career prospects were excellent, making her desirable in the marriage market, while Park Min-chan seemed average. Initially, Park Min-chan struggled to accept this harsh reality. He and Jin Yoon-mi had been together since college and were planning to marry. However, when discussing marriage, Jin Yoon-mi's evasive responses raised doubts. Previously, when unemployed, Jin Yoon-mi was eager to marry, but now it was Park Min-chan who felt rushed. Doubting their relationship, Park Min-chan started to believe the relationship manager's analysis. To save their relationship, he decided to follow her advice, even if it meant submitting unconditionally. This led to the scene where Park Min-chan wanted intimacy, but was rejected by Jin Yoon-mi. They later argued about Jin Yoon-mi's male co-worker. Park Min-chan tried to apologize with a dinner invitation, but Jin Yoon-mi declined, citing a dinner with co-workers. In reality, she joined her co-worker for dinner, displaying unusual closeness. Park Min-chan arrived to see this, and later saw Jin Yoon-mi enter the co-worker's home without returning. Heartbroken, he followed the relationship manager's advice and set up something like an altar below the co-worker's apartment. The next morning, Jin Yoon-mi, regretting not responding to Park Min-chan's messages, fabricated a lie about accidentally falling asleep and texted him. Her unease deepened instead of dissipating. After hearing Jin Yoon-mi's troubles, her best friend advised against rushing into marriage with Park Min-chan and suggested spending more time with the capable co-worker. Jin Yoon-mi decided to follow her friend's advice and accepted an invitation to go hiking with the co-worker. However, fate often turns unexpectedly. During a hike, Jin Yoon-mi's co-worker was eager to define their relationship. Faced with this sudden confession after some struggle, she decided to accept his feelings and resolved to break up with Park Min-chan. But then, an accident occurred. Jin Yoon-mi slipped down the slope. Despite her co-worker's desperate attempts to save her, he failed. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors diagnosed her with a broken leg requiring a long recovery. This was all orchestrated by the relationship manager who intentionally caused Jin Yoon-mi's accident to lower her standing below that of Park Min-chan. In the hospital, Jin Yoon-mi tearfully explained to Park Min-chan that her actions were just a momentary lapse and now she deeply regretted her mistake. Park Min-chan appeared to forgive her, but inside he felt relieved. Meanwhile, as Park Min-chan, now a section chief, flirted with a female subordinate at work, Jin Yoon-mi's days in the hospital grew increasingly difficult. She tried to move on her own but fell, weak. She longed for Park Min-chan's visits, but each hope turned into disappointment. Her prolonged absence also led to her dismissal from the company. Overwhelmed by loneliness and helplessness, she broke down. At this time, Park Min-chan was indulging in the pleasures with his new love, having pushed Jin Eun-mi out of his mind. Eventually, Jin Eun-mi received the relationship manager's business card. Desperate not to lose Park Min-chan, she made the same decision he did, using the relationship manager's services to lower Park Min-chan's standing, thereby securing her position in his heart. Engrossed with his female subordinate, Park Min-chan lost an eye as a result. Ultimately, he returned to the hospital. The two, now on the same level due to fate's irony, clung tightly to each other. The scene suddenly shifts to Park Min-chan back in the restroom, where he first found the relationship manager's business card. Surprisingly, he discovered his eye was back to normal, as if the pain had been just a nightmare. It turns out the relationship manager had always accepted Park Min-chan's initial request to help him and Jin Eun-mi smoothly walk down the aisle. Behind stood a pair of wings resembling those of an angel. The relationship manager watched the couple from a distance. Their eyes met with those of the relationship manager, filled with gratitude. The relationship manager gently pointed at his own eyes, reminding Park Min-chan not to forget the taste of losing an eye. Wealthy women in Seoul's Gangnam district believe they can easily manipulate others. However, they ultimately become lambs to the slaughter. The story focuses on Yoon-san, who lives in a villa. This rich heiress has recently been experiencing strange events. At night, unexplained noises wake her, driving her to seek her mother's protection. Her mother decides to find a playmate for Yoon-san to distract her. This companion, not chosen by chance, is Young-ji and her mother, who live in a rental area. They are longtime swindlers, who skirt the edges of wealth and are skilled at exploiting human weaknesses. They own a seemingly fierce but loyal hunting dog, which becomes their weapon to approach the wealthy. In a carefully planned move, the dog is unleashed in the villa's children's playground, creating a crisis that appears accidental. Young-ji appears just in time, rescuing the wealthy children, including Eun-san. When the vicious dog's fangs scratch her skin, Young-ji's arrival brings her a sense of safety and allows Young-ji and her mother to enter Eun-san's world. Young-ji's mother becomes Eun-san's mother's maid. With Young-ji as her new playmate, Yoon-san's temperamental side begins to show. One day, as Yoon-san's mother chats with a group of wealthy ladies, a sharp scream suddenly comes from the room. Her mother rushes to Yoon-san's room, only to find both children missing, as if they had vanished into thin air. Cosmetics scatter across the room. While searching anxiously, she is startled. Young-ji is accidentally involved in a prank led by Yoon-san, and her mother shows extreme humility and endurance. When Yoon-san's mother and the other wealthy women prepare to go out, Young-ji's mother has the car ready at the door, waiting quietly like a loyal servant. She is always the first to open and close the car door for them. Inside the car, the conversation inadvertently turns to Young-ji and Yoon-san's prank, joking about how Young-ji wasted expensive cosmetics, actually probing Young-ji's mother's reaction. Facing the teasing, she can only force a smile, quickly saying the children are naive and offering to pay for the loss. Yoon-san's mother, in a condescending manner, says there's no need for compensation, enjoying a sense of superiority. Each time these wealthy ladies enter a luxury store to select unaffordable high-end clothing, Young-ji's mother steps aside, pretending to take calls to ease her discomfort. The wealthy women do not miss the opportunity to tease her occasionally. However, Yoon-san's mother picks out an item for her, intended as a kind gesture but perceived by others as condescending charity. In the evening, after Yoon-san's mother finished her day of shopping and returned home, Young-ji's mother would pick up her daughter. At this time, Young-ji displayed a maturity beyond her years, while her mother seemed childlike. Recently, Yoon-san had been hearing strange noises. When she confided in Young-ji, Young-ji told her there were ghosts in the house. Curious, they decided to hold a seance. Young-ji instructed Yoon-san to close her eyes and not to look in the mirror. As Young-ji chanted, she began to speak as if possessed by a spirit. Driven by curiosity, Yoon-san looked in the mirror, which suddenly shattered, terrifying her and abruptly ending the seance. Later, Yoon-san's mother invited Young-ji's mother to a parent meeting, a place filled with luxury and pretense. Living in a suburban rental, Young-ji's mother became the subject of ridicule. In this wealthy, indifferent neighborhood, she even faced rejection from a security guard when trying to use the restroom, until Yoon-san's mother intervened. Still, Young-ji's mother ended up wetting her pants after enduring for a long time, deepening Yoon-san's mother's disdain. Back home, The sound of Yoon-san and Young-ji arguing broke the silence. Yoon-san mistakenly thought Young-ji had stolen her beloved doll, which Young-ji denied. In a heated moment, Yoon-san's mother pushed Young-ji and later pulled Young-ji's mother aside to insult her with harsh words. Faced with Yoon-san's mother's cruelty, Young-ji's mother broke down crying, while Yoon-san's mother took twisted pleasure in it, laughing loudly. Two wealthy ladies outside thought their plan had succeeded. Meanwhile, Yoon-san found the lost doll in a corner of the wardrobe. As if to scare Yoon-san, Young-ji made a bizarre statement, urging her to show the doll to her mother to ward off the ghosts. Yoon-san felt this had nothing to do with her. Young-ji then made a cruel demand, either throw the doll out the window or cut it open herself. Yoon-san clung to the doll, puzzled by Young-ji's harsh request. In another room, the wealthy ladies thought verbal humiliation was enough and decided to celebrate Young-ji's mother's birthday. Not knowing her exact age, they put a single candle on the cake. However, when they entered the room with the cake, they were shocked to find it empty. Then, a horrifying scene unfolded. Yoon-san's mother was hanging from the balcony railing, barely holding on. They rushed to help her, but as they did, Young-ji's mother quickly pushed them, and all three women fell from the high building. Soon after, Young-ji appeared, gently touching her mother's head. Young-ji's mother seemed like a child who had done something wrong. By then, the doll had been cut open. They continued their search for the next target in the wealthy district. Young-ji promised to find a good friend for her mother, who smiled and said she would behave. Young-ji told her not to be too picky, and then their dog chased after another wealthy child. Kyung-lai secretly meets his lover at a hotel tonight. After some intimate moments, she reveals her greedy nature by making excessive demands. Kyung-lai tries to brush her off, citing financial difficulties, but she threatens to call his wife. As she presses him, Kyung-lai nervously picks up a pen from the table, a habit when he's anxious. He warns that if his wife finds out, she'll disrupt his office, which benefits no one. This seems to work, and her demeanor softens. Kyung-lai takes the chance to leave. As he exits, a tarot card cuts his palm, leaving a thin bloodline. The card, symbolizing the Fool, suggests deception. Kyung-lai hails a taxi and assures his wife he's safe, but his phone dies. The driver agrees to charge it and starts a conversation. Initially friendly, the driver suddenly gets agitated by a passing motorcycle, overtakes it, and curses. The driver boasts of his past prominence, making Kyung-lai suspicious. Searching the driver's bag, he finds an ID with a different face and a bloodstain. The driver notices, jokingly dismissing any murderous assumptions. A phone call interrupts them, and the driver says he needs to handle something but will charge less. Kyung-lai grows uneasy as the driver ignores his pleas and heads into a secluded area. The driver stops, makes a call about selling body parts, and heads to the roadside, intensifying Kyung-lai's fears. Kyung-lai suspects the driver is a criminal dealing in human organs. He realizes he is in extreme danger. At that moment, the driver finishes his call and turns around, surprised to see Kyung-lai trying to flee. The driver's expression shifts to calm as he softly tells Kyung-lai to come back to the car due to the cold night. Despite his fear, Kyung-lai knows escaping isn't wise and reluctantly returns to the back seat. He asks for his phone back but sees the battery is still at 0%. The driver casually explains that the car charger is unreliable. Kyung-lai, uneasy, asks if anyone else is coming. The driver calmly says it's just buyers, hinting Kyung-lai shouldn't ask more. Using a ballpoint pen as a makeshift weapon, Kyung-lai stabs the driver in the neck. As the driver's life fades, Kyung-lai drags his body aside. However, when he tries to leave, the car's front tire gets stuck in mud. The driver's phone alerts Kyung-lai that the buyers have arrived. Facing this unexpected twist, Kyung-lai quickly adjusts his plans. Luckily, it's the first time the buyers have met the driver, giving Kyung-lai an opportunity. He claims his car is stuck and asks the buyers for help. Together, they free the car. Kyung-lai then opens the door and shows the buyers the driver's body, falsely claiming the driver tried to resist. The buyers are startled and become cautious. They request to open the trunk. Obeying, Kyung-lai finds the trunk holds the goods the buyers were actually after, a drained deer meant for wildlife trafficking. Kyung-lai answers a call from his wife, lying about a car accident delaying his return home. He realizes the driver's earlier mention of drained goods and organs referred to the deer, not human organs. Under the buyer's direction, Kyung Lai helps transfer the deer to their vehicle. During the transfer, one buyer attacks him from behind. Kyung Lai fights back, gouging the attacker's eyes, causing him to release his grip. Kyung Lai then escapes into the night. The buyers took a moment to react. They hurriedly searched for Kyung Lai, not expecting that he had silently moved behind them, a wooden stick in hand with which he dealt with them. Kyung Lai knew he had to destroy all evidence completely, so he doused both cars with gasoline. The fire lit up the night sky. As he was leaving, his phone rang again. It was his wife, who had tracked his location to a remote area and expressed doubt about his lies. She asked Kyung Lai to take a photo to prove he was not messing around. But Kyung Lai, aware of the secrets he must keep, could not comply, and his wife hung up, disappointed. Kyung Lai stood on the highway, anxiously waving for a ride, but passing vehicles sped by without stopping. Eventually, a police car slowly stopped in front of him. Kyung Lai, who had not called the police, wondered why they were looking for him. However, the police took him directly into the car. It turned out they had found him because a murder had occurred in a hotel, and the victim was Kyung Lai's lover. His greedy lover, undeterred, had insisted on calling his wife to expose their affair. Under relentless pressure, Kyung Lai had picked up a pen and stabbed his lover in the neck. Thus, his habit of pressing on a ballpoint pen was not due to nervousness, but a murderous intent. Meanwhile, a female social media influencer did not forget to live stream her experience of picking up a new car to let her wealthy viewers witness how she spent their donations. She had her eye on a large SUV, but the salesperson told her it was out of stock and recommended a luxury sedan instead. The influencer wasted no time in paying in full with her card. The salesperson immediately went to process the paperwork, and she eagerly admired her new car. Accidentally, she found a tarot card in the car door handle, which she showed on her live stream before signing off, thanking her wealthy supporters. The reason Seonja could afford her car so easily stemmed from a segment on her live stream. Any wealthy viewer who sent gifts could obtain her contact information. Some sleazy men harbored ill intentions towards Seonja, so she specifically arranged to meet these men in a deserted park at night. Unprepared, the men arrived, and Seonja, under the guise of a game appetizer, had them engage in sleazy actions. Without hesitation, the men began playing games with a rabbit decoration on the ground. Seonja not only live-streamed the entire event, but also deliberately shouted to frighten the men, causing them to flee the scene. The wealthy viewers, entertained, naturally showered her with gifts. That day, Seonja had a falling out with her partner over the nature of her live stream content, which was deemed vulgar and led to the video being removed by the platform. Her partner was worried that this path was not sustainable, as tricking people into being filmed was illegal and could lead to legal trouble. However, Seonja stubbornly believed that attracting attention was a shortcut to success, as it was how she had become popular. The disagreement escalated into an argument, and her partner left angrily. Seonja resumed her adult live streaming. She naively thought this would maintain or even boost her popularity, but found that her rich viewers did not appreciate it. At this time, a man with bad intentions called her out to hang out. However, to keep her show hot, she chose a hotel as their meeting place, which was a prank hotel. Seonja planned to set up traps to scare the man and attract viewers. She started the live stream early and arrived at the hotel. When she used her room card to open the door, she saw a woman with long hair sitting quietly in the bathtub, facing away from her as if unaware of her arrival. Seonja tried to greet her softly, but there was no response. As she approached the bathtub carefully, she accidentally stepped on a hidden mechanism, and the woman's head was suddenly launched into the air. Seonja screamed, then felt very satisfied with the prank prop. She looked forward to the man's reaction upon his arrival. When the man appeared outside the hotel, Seonja immediately commented on his appearance in the live stream, saying she felt sick. The man, full of anticipation, entered the elevator. Seonja quietly followed him with her phone, live streaming everything. The man prepared for their meeting by spraying breath freshener and taking out chewing gum to ensure smooth proceedings. He excitedly opened the room door and saw the fake long-haired person in the bathtub. He hesitated, then greeted awkwardly. Seonja couldn't help but laugh at his awkwardness. Shortly after, the room's mechanism was triggered by the man. who was so scared that he collapsed on the floor. Realizing he had been played, the man left the hotel angrily. Seonja returned to the hotel and revealed the man's basic information in her live stream. However, she could not have anticipated his meticulous revenge unfolding. When she took a taxi home during rush hour, she was stuck in traffic and accidentally discovered that the pranked man was also live streaming, with his camera pointing at her front door and revealing all her basic information. Seonja immediately called the police and ran home. When she and the police opened her front door, everything was normal, with no signs of a man's intrusion. The police advised her to frequently change her door lock codes and warned her against false alarms, which would be dealt with seriously. While Seonja was complaining about this experience to her fans in the live stream, she was surprised to find the man had started streaming again. She just opened the live stream and saw the man laughing at her. Seonja was still mocking and warning the man when she suddenly heard an echo in the live stream. Then, to her horror, she saw her own image appear on the screen. She screamed the moment she turned her head. Meanwhile, her partner, having received a text message from Seonja asking for help, arrived at the prank hotel using the address from the message. As expected, he triggered the mechanism and got a big scare. What truly terrified him was seeing Seonja's face on the launched head. Meanwhile, the man outside the hotel live-streamed this scene, and the rich viewers showered him with gifts.